Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Vivian and today we're going to be doing our September wrap up. I am so excited for these books. It was actually kind of average. I had some really good books and I had some really not so good books, and all of these books are going to be in reading vlogs. I will try to link all of them in the description box, so I'm gonna try my best not to talk too much about the books because I have dedicated reading vlogs for all of them. And yeah, I'm not gonna keep this intro long. Let us get into all of the books that I read in September. I don't really remember much about the books that I read in the beginning of the month, but apparently I read Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. I thought I read this last month, August, but apparently I read this in September. So I DNF'd this last year and then I came back to it because I did a giving books second chances type of video, and I picked this up again. This is the second book in a duology called These Violent Ends by Chloe Gong, and I basically really enjoyed this book. I gave this book 4 stars. If you guys don't know what These Violent Ends is about, it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling. Our main male character is called Roma and our main female character is called Juliet, and they both are from rival gangs in 1927 Shanghai. I think they fell in love not knowing that they were in rival gangs. When they came back to Shanghai, they realized their families were rivals and decided to let the love go in order to be with their family. But something happens in Shanghai, a monster appears, and they need to work together to fight off this demon to save their country. And I am very happy that I picked this up. I'm very happy I finished the duology, and I am happy that I actually liked the book. I didn't know why I put it down last year. Maybe I wasn't in the mood, but this time around I really liked it. I loved the romance in this. I felt like the romance in this book was much stronger than the first book. Plot wise, it was a little bit repetitive with the first book because there is still some sort of monster playing a role in this plot. There were just a lot of politics in this book though, which kind of sometimes threw me off, and I liked their romance. I feel like their romance is just so good, so enemies to lovers, and I actually really liked the ending, so I gave this book 4 stars. Next, I did a 24-hour readathon and I read 4 books in that reading vlog. I first read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I read this on my Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited, by the way, so you guys can read on there. But this book is about, I don't remember the character names, but the main female character is a disabled young woman. She has a shorter left limb and she goes to this Halloween party hosted by her best friend. Ends up meeting a guy there called Bo, and he's also disabled. He has an amputated right leg. I might have mixed it up. He has an amputated leg. I don't know, I forgot which side, and they kind of bond over that and they have a one-night stand. 6 weeks later, she realizes she's pregnant with the guy's baby, and so this whole book is actually the pregnancy trope. But I really like this book even though it was a pregnancy trope because it focused a lot about the realities of being pregnant, and I really like the relationship together. Their communication is really good, and I love their banter. They have really good chemistry. I just feel like the plot, there's not much with the plot, which is why I gave it 3.5 stars. Now that I think about it again, I don't really remember much about the book except for the fact that it's a pregnancy trope and it's very slow burn, and that's about it. But I remember feeling really happy reading the book, so I gave this book 3.5. Then I read, I don't think this is in order of what I read in that vlog. I don't remember exactly what I read first, but I think I read this book, Mother of Death and Dawn by Carissa Broadbent. This is the 3rd book in the War of Lost Hearts trilogy, and this is a really thick chunker. It's 700 pages. This trilogy follows a slave who's called Tisana. She recently earned enough to buy out her freedom, and so she wants to pay off to get her freedom, but somehow something happens and she ends up killing her master, and so she flees to the orders. But in order to enter the orders, she needs to enter an apprenticeship, and so she meets Max, who is going to be the one teaching her. But Max doesn't like the orders. Max doesn't want to have to do anything with the orders, and so they start off on the wrong foot. But some things kind of come into play, and it's just really fun. It's a really good fantasy trilogy, and I rated the first 2 books 4 stars. But Mother of Death and Dawn is just the cherry on top of this trilogy, and I really liked it, and I gave this book 4.5. I had so much fun with the book. Really liked both main characters, Max and Tisana, and there's also another POV in this which I don't want to talk about because it's going to spoil the whole trilogy. But overall, I just had so much fun with the book and I really liked it, and you guys can see all my reactions in that reading vlog, so please go and check it out. And I really liked that this was very fantasy oriented instead of romance, so you don't really get a lot of romance in this. The world building, pacing, amazing. And then I read, I think, The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This is a romance rom-com, and this follows a executive protection agent. That's her title, but she's essentially a bodyguard. There's this actor called Jack who needs protecting, and so she ends up protecting him, and their relationship kind of go from there. I'm not sure what rating I gave in that vlog, but I ended up giving this 4 stars because it was really fun. I was left giggling most of the time, and I also really liked what happened at the end. The little kind of conflict that happened was very fun, so I actually had a good time with this book. I think I rated it 4.5 in that vlog, but I think I was just fresh out of reading this book, so I gave it 4.5. But now that I think about it again, I didn't really have much thoughts about this book after reading it, so I decided to give this 4 stars because it was a really strong rom-com, but it didn't leave me kind of feeling like I really want to reread the book. And then last book of that reading vlog is Hothouse Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the 5th book in the Addicted World series, but it's the 2nd book in the Calloway Sisters series. This follows Reich and Daisy's story. There is slight age gap, I think 6 to 7 years, but basically you follow their relationship. I feel like the Calloway Sisters series is a lot more strong compared to the original Addicted series following Lily and Lo, because the book before this is Kiss the Sky, and I really like that one. This one I ended up giving 4.5 because it wasn't as strong as Kiss the Sky, but it was so good. Like, I really liked their relationship. I liked how, once again, they have really good communication skills, and the problems are all solved very well, and I really liked their relationship together overall. I think I'm kind of biased because I really like Rose and Connor, so Hothouse Flower is a 4.5 for me. And then I made a really long reading vlog. It is the random number generator picks how many hours I read for that week, and I ended up reading 6 books in that vlog. I read 8 books in total, but I DNF'd 1 book. I DNF'd Spinning Silver, but I don't have the book with me. You guys will know why, because I'm uploading a book on haul very soon. Essentially, I DNF'd Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I feel like the writing is not for me, and it was too folklore style and too many point of views. It was all very confusing, and it wasn't a book that I enjoyed, so I DNF'd that book. And then I read The Song of the Marked by S.M. Geiler. This is a fantasy book. It is the first book in the Shadows and Crowns series, and I think it's a 5-book series if I'm not wrong. Follow Cassia Greythorn, who is a mercenary. She doesn't care much about the world except to do her jobs properly and also to earn money to buy medicine for her mentor. But something happens and she ends up getting captured by the king, and in this world there's this plague that goes around the world killing people off. She's told to investigate the plague because she actually survived the plague, and not a lot of people survives the plague, so she's told to go and investigate with the king's captain, who's called Captain Elander, and there's slight enemies to lovers in this, and you just follow their journey, and it's really fun, and I had such a good time. I feel like the writing, the prose is not very beautiful, but I also really had a good time because the world building was great, and I really like that the gods kind of come into play in this book. I really like the little maps in the front of these books. I feel like the graphics are just really pretty. Just feel like the writing doesn't suck me in, that kind of feeling. So I gave this book 3.5, but a really strong first book. Will continue with the series, and I'm excited to continue with the series. Then I read The Naturals, I think. Next, I think I read this book next. This is the first book in the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This follows 5 gifted teenagers who were recruited by the FBI to join this little program called The Naturals because they're really good at FBI investigation. They're really good with profiling, reading emotions, lie detecting, all those things, and you follow a big overarching mystery plot involving the main female character's mother. But with every book in this series, there's 4 books by the way, you get a little mystery subplot, and there's also a romance subplot, there's a love triangle. It's really good. I rated this 4 stars. I just feel like character development wise, I don't really connect with the characters as much, but the plot in this I really like. So 4 stars. And then I think I got into this book, Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did, by Monica Murphy. This is the first book in the Lancaster Prep series, and I think they're interconnected standalone, so you don't really need to read them in order, but I want to read them in order, so this is the first book. Follow Whit Lancaster and Summer Savage. Summer is a new student in the Lancaster school, and Whit basically is the son of the owner of the school, and you kind of follow their really deranged and kind of toxic relationship because Whit is obsessed with Summer and things go from there. Basically, I rated this 2.5 stars mainly because I really like the writing. I think Monica Murphy does a good job with her writing and it doesn't bore me out at all. But I read a few reviews before getting into this book, and I do agree that this is mostly just spice and smut and no romance, no plot. You kind of get a little bit of plot, but that's it. If you go into this book not having any expectations of a healthy relationship, then I think it's fine, but I think the relationship it was weird. It went from 0 to 100 really quick, and it's a really thick book, by the way. It's 650 pages, but I gave this book 2.5 because I flew through the book. Like, I didn't even realize it was 650 pages. Overall, writing was great, but the plot, like the characters, they kind of need help. And then I read Killer Instinct, which is the second book in the Natural series. It's just really easy to read, and it's really fun, so I picked this up in the same vlog. We follow the same storyline and the big overarching mystery plot, but you get a lot more character development in this book. You fall in love with the characters even more. But for me, I feel like the mystery in this is a little bit lacking. I like the first one a little bit more. So I gave this book 4 stars, but overall, I just really like the Natural series. I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing. It's really short, it's really quick. I just want to continue reading on, and the chapters are just really short. So it really helps with the reading process. The last book that I finished reading is Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. This is the 3rd book in the Knock 'Em Out series, and I think the last one, follow Lucian and Stone's story in this book, and I feel like you need to read the first 2 books first in order to get into this book, because there's this really big mystery plot as well that you follow. And I gave this book 4.5 because I really liked their relationship, and I really liked how they got together, and I also had such a fun time with the mystery plot. I know some people didn't like this book as much, but I don't know, I had a good time. I was laughing and giggling a lot reading this book, and I flew through it. It is also a really thick book, 580 pages, I think. So really long, but really easy to read, and I just had such a good time. I think the first book is still my favorite, but this book is my second favorite. The last book I read in that vlog is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, but I didn't finish reading it in that vlog. I did finish it off camera, and I wanted to read this book because the movie came out in Prime Video, and so I rushed to reading this book, and I gave this book 4 stars. This is my first couple story, so I wasn't like sure what I was gonna expect reading the book, but I had so much fun and I really liked the book. I didn't rate this higher because I felt like there was just not enough slow burn, not enough tension build up, and I love slow burn. And this book, I think by like page 100-ish, you're already into their first kiss scene. I just felt like it was lacking the slow burn, the tension, the pining, but in general, I love the storyline. I also feel like the politics kind of lose me a bit sometimes, so that's why I gave this 4 stars. Let us get into the last 3 books of this video. So I read 3 books, all also in a vlog that I think will be coming out after this one. I read 3 witchy books, and I have a whole vlog that I'm going to upload. And the first book that I read in that vlog is The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. This is the second book following the X-Hex, and you follow Gwyn Jones, who's the cousin of the main female character in the X-Hex, and Wells Panhallow, and Wells is the brother of the main male character in the X-Hex. With this book, I enjoyed and I had fun, but I didn't feel any sort of chemistry between Gwyn and Wells. I feel like there's not much slow burn in this, 0 to 100 real quick, and kind of felt insta-lovey. So this book I gave 3 stars because of that. Not my favorite. I loved the X-Hex so much more than this. And then I read Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. This is the first book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy, and overall really like this book. The first half of the book was very slow pacing wise, but then it got good real quick, and by the end of it I was obsessed. Just a lot of plot twists, and I really had a lot of fun with the book, to be honest. So I gave this book 4 stars, and you guys can see my reactions in the vlog. I had a really fun time. Sarah J. Maas blurbed the book. The last book I read in that vlog is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I loved this book, ate it up so much, really liked it. I think it's romance but slightly cozy fantasy in my opinion, and I had so much fun. I didn't talk about what Serpent and Dove is, by the way, but this is about a witch and a witch hunter who comes into holy matrimony because of situations that I feel like you need to go into this slightly blind. So that's what happens with Serpent and Dove. And with this book, we're going back to this one. Follow Mika, who is a witch, but she is supposed to be hiding in secrecy. She's not supposed to reveal that she's a witch, so she doesn't practice magic as much, but she uploads videos pretending to be a witch online, and that's how Ian finds her and recruits her to help train these 3 young witches in like the suburbs of Europe, I think, or London. I don't remember the location. She goes to this house being intrigued by the idea of training young witches, and she comes to realize that there are 3 witches in this house, and there are so much more people in that house who kind of play a role, and they kind of come together, and it's a very, very big found family aspect. And there's also romance in this book following the male main character called Jamie. He's not a fan of Mika in the first place because he's scared that Mika will reveal to the world that these 3 young witches do exist, because once again, they're not supposed to exist in this world. But yeah, this book was really good because I love the found family. I loved how you learn about each character and how they play a role in this house. I loved it so much. Gave me the same feelings as Heartbreak House Share by Emily Merrill. So overall, such a good time. I gave this 4.5. I just really liked it. I just loved it. I think the found family in this was amazing. That is it for all the books that I read in September, and I had so much fun this month. I actually read a few more books in September, but I finished them in October, so that's going into my October wrap up, and you guys have to be excited for that wrap up because there are so many good books. If you guys had fun watching this video, please don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love that. It will mean a lot to me, and I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!